afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. I probably shouldn't tell jokes right before we go on the air. He is Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. As we kick off closing week at the
Don't
Big
say
Apple.
it, Andy. It's so sad.
We'll be back.
I know.
We'll be back.
But it's,
I love it here too. You and I love Aqueduct as well. But we'll be heading over to Belmont. Opening day is a week from today, but you got 4 days left. Of course, that'll be mandatory payouts on closing day as well. Head over to Naira Bets. We have a special added promotion as we head towards the Derby. Use the promo code Derby25, and Anthony, how happy are we? We got a new slate too.
There you go.
Free $25 bet towards the Derby, as well as your $200 sign-up match bonus. Play through Naira Bets, keep the money in the game.
That looks like Mo Donegal to me, Andy.
I think you make a great point.
It's Joel. Yeah. Head down.
That is Mo Donegal. What do we got? We got $50 each at Aqueduct and Turf Paradise. Got to opt in. Head over to the promotions and opt in at Naira Bets. $15 bonus, win or lose. We also have the contest. We have until 5 o'clock tomorrow, so approximately 29 hours left. Love these contests. We'll be the last one at Aqueduct for a little while, but we'll continue these at Belmont as well, though. I'm sure we're doing them every week at Belmont.
That's correct.
$300 buy-in, cash and seat prize. A lot of fun. Check them out. Great. I really encourage people to get involved. You know, if that's your bankroll for a day, it's all live money. So it's not like you're sacrificing your play by playing. It's not like you put up $100 or $200 or whatever, and you have to pick the most winners. It's a live money contest. You may not even qualify for prices. You will still keep your winnings. We also have the Belmont Stakes seats. They are going fast. Heading over to Belmont, of course. Tickets are on sale. Head to BelmontStakes.com. And finally, we are on from 1 to 5:30 today. I'll be on the first half.
I'll be on the second half.
Oh, you're on? Mm-hmm. Oh, where's Mig?
He's here.
Is Maggie not here?
Maggie is in Oaklawn Park.
Oh, Maggie went to Oaklawn. She's gone all week. I forgot about that. That's right. We'll be broadcasting from there, but not today. We're not racing. Okay, race number 1 at 1 mile and an eighth. And I guess the horse to beat in here, our guest leaves just as soon as the fun was starting.
You blame her?
Believe me, she ran out. American Law. And American Law is the speed and the horse to beat. And listen, Rational Choice came back and really flattered him with a nice race at Keeneland.
That was a big effort the other day,
huh? Yeah, ran well. He improved. Having said that, he's just had so many chances. And I mean, 4 seconds, 2/3. I'm not against him today, but I just feel like you just kind of where you're supposed to, at a short price, let him beat you.
You got to try and beat him, right? Yeah. I don't disagree. I mean,
I have nothing. I have no knock on him.
There's no real knock on him.
He's the horse to beat. He's just the knock on him is that he's had a lot of chances.
Yes.
You're trying to get complete agenda to get his act together here in New York. He's another one, though. He's had a lot of chances at short prices for Todd Pletcher and failed to get it done as well.
I'm going to say something that you might poke a couple of holes in. I don't think this horse was ever really comfortable at Gulfstream Park. I don't think he ran, and for a barn that does exceedingly well, this horse just to me never really seemed to get comfortable down there.
What based on what?
If you watch his races, and I remember last time the Mach Godolphin horse won, he just never found his rhythm. He had a very choppy way of going.
So the race
But if you go to Tampa, if you go and watch his race at Tampa, he moved differently at Tampa. I actually went and did this because I thought this was an interesting race.
He ran significantly better at Gulfstream than he did at Tampa.
He ran faster at Gulfstream. I'm telling you, he looked a lot more comfortable. It was only his second start. It was his first start around 2 turns.
We'll agree to disagree.
He looked a lot more comfortable and more fluid at Tampa than he did in any of his Gulfstream races for me. Now, he was one of the first wave down there at Gulfstream Park, so maybe that says something about him and his talent, but I don't think Gulfstream suited him. I'm looking forward to getting him to Aqueduct today.
In my opinion, the reason to like him in here is that he was uncomfortable being down the inside last time, and that's why he didn't run particularly well. If he runs back to his race 2 back, he's a very logical alternative to the favorite in this race. His races, in my opinion, I don't agree with anything you're saying, and I don't think the races bear it out, but we have a difference of opinion. I'm going to take Predicted, who's one of the other alternatives. If you're looking for an alternative, we'll take a look at his race 2 back. Now, I know he's a Tapit. I do think it's fair to ask if he's necessarily going to get better with more distance. Because frankly, he had this race 1 and the first-time starter, who came back and ran well in his next start for Jonathan Thomas, came back and got him. But he's supposed to be able to finish better than that at a mile. Having said that, he's not a turf horse. They tried him on the turf last time. He didn't do any running whatsoever. Now he's back on the right surface, and this is a horse that I would say arguably had a bit of an excuse in his race, the race before this one, and I'll take him in his first dirt start as a 3-year-old. I assume, I don't disagree that the winner will probably be among the 2, 4, and 6. We just took different alternatives.
I like the old school move, by the way, a little turf tightener, and then coming back in the 12 days.
It wasn't a turf tightener. He wanted to run him on the turf. Because he was entered, I believe.
No, I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is I think it inadvertently turned into a turf tightener, and now the coming back in 12 days is interesting. I mean, I know it's a short field, and maybe it's a racing office call, but...
He didn't do any running last time, so, I mean, I just think he just didn't do any running in there. Okay, we have some disagreements. Race number 2. You've got 4 horses in race number 2 that are coming out of the same race. We'll show the first 2 finishers, and you are somebody who likes to bet on horses coming off of wins. I am not. You like Lanfranco File. Why do you think she'll repeat today?
Yeah, I was between the 5 and the 6 in here. I just felt this horse's 2 races with blinkers, 2 starts back behind Runaway Winner Lady Milagro, who's turned into a nice filly this winter. And then last time where she was able to, and here she is last time, just, sitting right off the pace and probably moved the touch too soon, but still got the job done. I thought there were a couple of good races. I think a repeat. I think the money will come in on Tweaked. I think the money will come in on Ruski. I think she's going to be the best price of the 3 horses I think can win, even though she was the winner last time.
Okay. My problem with that race was the second horse ran the best race, and the second horse really isn't that good. This was a day that being forward was very beneficial. Lanfranco File had an exceedingly good trip in that race. She may get one again here. I preferred Tweaked and Ruski. Amore Fire is probably the speed from the inside. Tweaked supposed to be outside of her, and I think it is important to note, we did see speed be very good last weekend. Now, I don't know if the track's changed. We got a lot of rain here a couple of days ago, but based on the race we saw here last weekend, being forward was very helpful, and that'll help a horse like Tweaked. I don't think it's going to hurt anybody because the 5 and 6 aren't going to be that far off of it. But it is worth keeping in mind, maybe it moves up Amore Fire in this race. But I feel like either Tweaked is going to be right on top of the pace and she's going to run. She's probably better with less distance. Or Ruski may be able to do it. I'm not convinced any of these horses at 7 furlongs. I think 7 furlongs is an open book for all of these horses, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure how much the distance will really matter.
Okay.
But it is interesting because these are not a lot of horses that have done much 7. I mean, her closing deals won at it, but she won a very, very slow race. I just thought Ruski, maybe last time, she was wide. There's an argument the rail got good late in the day when she ran. I'm not sure it's true. It felt like it watching the races. It doesn't feel like it in retrospect. Horses have come back and not proven that rail to have gotten good, and it was kind of a weird day because it wasn't good earlier in the day, or it wasn't bad. It just was no advantage. And hopefully Tweak can run better, but maybe Tweak's a horse that just ran her best race first time. I'm 4s and 5s. You like the 6. Race number 3. Race number 3. Why don't we go to the replay center? And I think we have a replay of the horse you have on top, the number 9 Frosted Indian.
Yeah, that should be 9542, guys. 9542. Yeah, I went to the outside here. I went to Frosted Indian. We see the Jamie Ness horses that at one point did not really perform well here, and now they are all running basically to their Parks form. This horse had a couple of sprint races, stretches back out to a mile. The 1 mile race on the card, horse galloped down at Parks. I know it was a void claim after that, but I thought the 2 sprint races would be beneficial to the stretch out to the 1-turn mile. Outside draw, stretching back out, I would imagine this horse is going to be a lot closer to the pace, if not. I know
she shouldn't be sitting outside of Flowers Felicia,
Flowers
right?
Felicia, yeah, should be right off the pace. And
Yeah,
I thought she was going to work out a good trip. He was going to work out a good trip.
My general feeling was, I got the money with O'Shakin, you see, last time. And I'm sorry, Runabout scratched, because any money he was going to take seemed like dead money. I want the new faces to this group. And you've got 2 shippers, Peter Walder and Jamie Ness, the 5 and 9. And you also have the 6 Parade Field, who's dropping off the claim for Natalia Lynch, who I don't think is impossible. Certainly has back races. It would make him very tough in here. There's clearly been some sort of sea change recently. Guys like Peter Walder and Jamie Ness, who had next to no success whatsoever on the NYRA circuit for many years, suddenly, over the last few weeks, they started shipping here, and their horses started running very, very well, and that includes Peter Walder. Now, I know Mag Express coming off 2 bad races, but one of the horses that Peter Walder won with was a horse that was coming off of 2 very bad races down in Florida and can't appear improved. As far as Mag Express, I found a trainer stat for Peter Walder who the very few horses he has run here, they have all shown up and run, and it's a very different scenario than we saw. I think we have a trainer stat, right, guys? You have that stat? Maddie's Express? What happened? All that work down the drain. He's 23% with 60 starters with a 260 ROI, dropping 50% or more on the dirt. And I just thought Maddie's Express, another horse who was shipped here with a purpose, 5, 6, and 9 for me. I'm against the ones that we've sort of seen. That's all I got.
Yeah, I got 5s and 9s.
Yeah. O'Shea, can you see? I got them even last time. I don't think it's impossible, but I'd rather have the new faces in here. We'll break after race number 4. And race number 4, to me, I want the forwardly placed horses in here. And they're Bust and Shout and Valmont. And we'll show you Valmont's last race where he won with a switch to Trevor McCarthy last time at a nice price. I think he's run well in his turf races. I thought he's sort of an accomplished turf sprinter with the bottom to him. I preferred Bust and Shout, though, who's a better turf sprinter. He's running against better horses in his races. The last time he sprinted, he was coming off a 10-month layoff. He's got back races that are good. He can stalk and pounce. There's less speed with the 6 coming out. I just thought these were the right 2 horses in this race, and I prefer the 10 over the 4, but I would use both of them.
You know, I had a real difficult time with this heat. I didn't know what to do with Bust and Shout. His last race was so bad, the race off the layoff on the dirt. And I know he was running against better horses,
Yeah,
but
no chance in there.
he just didn't run too. He's never, I mean, has he ever really run that poorly, Andy? That was my biggest problem. And I'm like, I know he had no chance in there, but he just didn't run. And at a shortish price, I don't know. I didn't have a morning line here. I thought he would be a shorter price than a 4-1, but David's usually right, so I'm not going to.
Okay, we disagree. What do you like about Panster? And we'll hold off on the replay for a minute.
I don't know. I felt like when he went to the bench when turf season ended, he was in good form, and I like the fact that he's run well off similar breaks in the past. He always seems to fire a good shot when he is fresh, and I think the theme's kind of been for the last 2 or 3 days, the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about the horses that have that have some recency and they've had some success on the turf races. I know he doesn't have it, but he's run so well fresh that I figured I would just give him the nod. And like I said, very tough race. If I knew he was, I should have looked at the line. If I knew he was the morning line favorite, I might have put Valmont on top. But I don't know how they're going to bet this race. Now with St. Selby out too, with a lot of the speed out of the race, I don't know how they're going to bet this race now.
Yeah. I want to show Panster's last race, and I don't like him in here. I have him 3rd, but he's sort of a distant 3rd for me. His last race was okay, though. He breaks from the 2-post, and he doesn't have any speed, but he does get a little bit shuffled here. You're going to see him right in there. He goes inside, and he sort of, that right there, the horse sort of took him out of the race a little bit. The problem is I don't think it really mattered because it was the flow of the race, and he was very much the flow of the race. And the problem that I have with him is I think he really needs to improve to win this race because his races to me aren't as good as either the races that the 4 and 10 have run. And assuming one of the 4 or 10 show up with a semblance of their better races in a turf sprint, he would have to improve dramatically. Beating Volker just doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's impossible in here, and maybe Swashbuckle will benefit from being gelded, the other Christophe Clement horse on the outside. I mean, the reality is, Swashbuckle's running some better horses. I'm not thrilled with either one of them. You like them more than I do. I am more inclined to want the ones that have going to be more forwardly placed. And I think both of the 3 and 9 are pace dependent, and I wonder how much pace they're going to get in this race.
Yeah, with St. Selby out.
Yeah, it changes things.
It changes things.
Theoretically.
For sure.
That's the first 4. We'll be back with the late pick 4 after a quick break.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
We're back, Anthony and Andy. Last week at Aqueduct. Trying not to cry too much. Listen. I'm no joking around. I love the Big A. You and I don't agree on a lot of things, but one thing we do agree on is our massive love of the Big A.
Yes.
One of our favorite
Both
places. Yeah. Well, no, this is a place I've been coming to for a long, long time, almost 50 years. My first trip here was 1974.
Wow.
Yeah, where you weren't even born yet.
I wasn't.
Yeah, years before you were born. It was different. I don't know, something was missing. I didn't know what it was until
Now
a
you
little
know.
bit later. Yeah. Race number 5, 6.5 furlongs on the dirt, maidens. Tonight We Love.
I just took the drop down. This horse has run 5 times. Going to get on a fast track for the first time. I don't know if that's.
That's going to change everything.
I don't.
That's
I
going
don't know
to
if
make
it's
the big
noteworthy.
difference. I hope you've had a better reason for making the
No, listen. The drop down. This was the race for me where it was kind of. I wasn't going back to really psyched. I was foolish enough to do that last time.
I mean, Sweet
You
Sugar.
talk about Roz. The thing I didn't like about Roz was the fact that Michelle Nevin ran this horse the mile, both starts, and now she's cutting him back. She's cutting her back. Maybe it's a distance thing, but I just don't understand running her the mile the 2 times, and then cutting her back to a sprint.
Maybe she was wrong.
Maybe she was,
And maybe she's admitting that she was wrong.
Maybe, yeah,
it's a good thing to do in this game.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I thought Roz was the worst to beat in this race. I thought she's done more running in less races than others here because horses like your horse who obviously can win. We'll take a look at Sweet Sugar Baby's last race. Obviously, she has a chance to win off of this race, but it wasn't much of a field. And I don't think you're going to find any upside for any of the horses, the 3 or the 5. They are, and they may be good enough to run 1-2, and it wouldn't shock me if they did. Whereas Roz, Roz showed speed with Kulik last time. She's got speed to be forward. Hopefully, Eric won't get lost on her in here. I know she's cutting back, but she doesn't need to be that far behind. And I just thought she was the one that just had the less chances, frankly, the ones that had a chance.
That's fine.
And I'll take her dropping back down from the last race. I mean, it's a very, very hard race to have a strong
kind of
conviction
real,
because nobody in here has ever done any running whatsoever. And in a lot of ways, this race is going to be won by attrition. And you just sort of hope that you found the last
found
man
the right one.
standing,
Yeah.
or in this case, the last lady standing. Right?
Yes.
It's hard. We can't sit here and sing endorsements for anybody in here. They're just not that
Very
good.
difficult to do that.
Race number 6. Race number 6, I thought was the trickiest race on the card. And on paper, there's a lot of speed, which includes Mexican Wonder Boy, and will show a race of his 3 back, and it's also 3 back for Hammer and Hammer when he was able to win. And Hammer and Hammer has subsequently been against tougher fields in his next 2 races, and he gets dropped. But as much as I like Mexican Wonder Boy, what is he going to do in this race with Warrior in Chief, who has to be forward? And even Striking Speed can't be that far behind. And I'm not saying they're going to be flying around there, but I've tried Mexican Wonder Boy, and maybe Andy Off will get the horse home, but I'm just kind of giving up. He really should have won last time. Or run better.
He has real grief in here.
Yeah, he just doesn't feel like it. And Hammer and Hammer is just a very logical horse to pick up the pieces. I don't have no argument with him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the argument against him is. He's held his form very well for Pat Reynolds.
I don't either. Pat's done a good job. You know what the funny thing is? This horse kind of got back to some of his old form in the fall, and he's held it for 2 barns now. 3 barns, really. I mean, even when Oscar Barrera had him, he was kind of coming to life, and then Gustavo Rodriguez, and now Pat. I mean, he's really
Run 6 straight races that are all competitive.
all competitive.
I have no argument with it.
He's supposed to get some pace.
And a 1-turn mile, I think, suits him more than the mile and 1/8 of 2 races back. You could argue he's probably. I don't think he doesn't handle the wet track.
But overall, probably better on
is
dry
probably,
ground. Yep.
He's certainly so. But I think you have to look at other horses in here, especially if you want closers, including the 8 Someday Jones. Now, in fairness to fairness, this horse hasn't won a race since December of 2020. It's only 16 months. He has run against better horses. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this race. One way to look at it is he lost a horse in Zoomer who came back and, good trip or not, won against a significantly better field.
Real field, yep.
He got a very good trip, and he probably wasn't best, but he still did win against tougher horses. Now, the other way to look at it was there wasn't that much in here, and they kind of knew Little Menace wasn't going to run his race. But Little Menace has come back and run reasonably well since that race, so I don't really knock him. My biggest knock is that he hasn't won. On the other hand, okay, he was the shortest price last time. Zoomer was the favorite. You would pick Zoomer in this race likely if he was in here. And before that, he was running in 5 consecutive races where he was double-digit odds. So he hasn't been running in a boatload of races where he was really supposed to win. I thought he and the 2 were the 2 logical closers in the race, and I thought he might be a little bit of a better price, but I don't have a strong opinion to get for either one. I think they were the 2 logical. You don't have him. You don't like him, huh?
Not really. I really like Hammer and Hammer today.
But you have him 4th.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
All right. I think Thunder Shook has to be used simply because Jamie Ness's horses are running here, and I just think he's too dangerous a trainer and too high percentage a trainer to let his horses beat you in multis. And he used to be a pitch here, and now that has
No longer
changed.
the
I don't know
case.
what changed, but something changed. The horse I don't like is the horse that you have 3rd. I don't like Pioneer Spirit at all. I know he's a claim for Rudy, but I don't.
I have to use. I got. You see now again, 3 to 1 in the morning. Is this horse really going to be the favorite in here?
He could be first time for Rudy off the claim.
I thought Hammer and Hammer would be the favorite.
It'll be close, but Pioneer Spirit's going to take a lot of money off the Rudy claim. I'm not a fan of this horse. I don't think he's that good. The only way he can win is if Rudy improves him, which is always possible. I think Warrior in Chief's a little bit dangerous. Tom Morley's numbers for Flying P Stable are off the charts. I think he's 13 for 40 with an ROI of around $4.50, with 21 of them in the exacta.
Wow.
So they've run for him, and he was in a ridiculously bad spot last time. On the other hand, the horse who was involved in the pace with him did run 2nd. But his race 2 back off the claim is good enough to win. The problem is, what kind of trip can he get with the presence of Mexican Wonder Boy? Mexican Wonder Boy wasn't in here. I would love him today, this horse, but I have to use him.
They really get in each other's way here. You would
On
think.
paper they do.
You would think.
But we've seen a lot of races that aren't run exactly as we
That's true.
expect to see them on paper.
That's
But
true.
I can't disagree with anything you're saying, though. On paper, it's very hard for them not to get
On
each
paper,
other.
it's very hard for them not to hit up front.
At some point. Race number 7. That race number 7 was a fun race today. And we'll start the conversation with Jackson Traveler. And this is a race where the horse that you have on top, Big Engine, did not run particularly well. You know, he was towards the inside, which is not necessarily the best place to be down at Laurel. And he really did run pretty well in here. My problem is that overall, his recent dirt races, I don't particularly love them. But he may be the controlling speed in here, and he's a pretty dangerous horse, Jackson Traveler.
Yeah, he's fast. He's supposed to be in front. I do wonder, you know, with the blinkers going on cost basis.
Well, he should be sitting outside of him, yeah.
You know, I wonder, we've seen some, who was it? Was it Value Proposition who took the lead from Rinaldi?
Well, that was by instructions.
Right. Well, I wonder if there's a little bit more aggression and
But
Manny
he's
in the
always
blinkers.
been, he's got speed, cost
Yeah,
basis.
that's what
I don't think he needs to be more aggressive. He's fast. And Manny's aggressive, and I don't think he's going to let Jackson Traveler out of his earshot. What do you make of his last race? And we'll hold off on the replay for a second. I mean, I have a problem. I have a tough time believing that cost basis in running 4th, beating a length and a half, ran the best race he's ever run. Now, the Timeform US figures agree with the Beyer figures. That race came up quick. I'm a little bit dubious. You obviously aren't, and we'll take a look at that race because you've got Big Engine on top in there. Why do you think Big Engine's going to rebound today?
I just thought, I didn't think, he's another horse. I don't think he handled that track down at Laurel. And he'd run at Laurel one other time, and he didn't really run that well that time as well. I just feel like, and listen, he got a good setup in here. He got a fantastic ride from Trevor McCarthy, who he's reunited with today. I don't know. I thought Jackson Traveler and Cost Basis had to keep each other company. I know Mr. Phil's not fast enough, but he's almost got to leave a little from the inside. I thought there'd be some pace on in here. I thought Trevor might be able to work out another good trip with this horse, and I don't know. I think getting back to Aqueduct. I know that, you know, and it wasn't like it was the best race Big Engine had ever run to back, but it wasn't like he had it knocked on that door. He had run a couple of low 90 figures in his career. It was second time Rudy out of a race where he really had no chance running against. What do you think now? Off the June layoff, and now I'm going to throw the race at Laurel out because I don't think he really handles the racetrack down there, and I'm going to hope he gets a little pace to run at again.
The reason I liked Big Engine 2 back was that he's a rail runner. If you look through his career and you look at the races where he's run his best races, he's made his moves inside of horses. That's where he's most comfortable when he runs. And that's what happened in an absolute perfect fashion in the race we just saw. They drifted off the rail, the race came apart in the late stages, and he was able to get it done, getting the exact trip he wants. rail runners are tricky, and they're also tricky when they break from outside posts.
Sure.
Because as good as Trevor McCarthy is, and he may end up getting him to the rail, but you know, you're talking about horses like Mr. Phil and Jackson Traveler that are going to be down on the inside. I don't think either one of these horses necessarily has to completely fall apart.
Right.
So he's probably not going to be, it's highly unlikely that Big Engine's going to get the trip that we saw in the race that we showed. And I think that's the trip he needs to win. And I feel like forget about his last race. I don't dismiss his last race because I don't do that. He ran poorly last time, and I think it matters. And I don't think his race 2 back is as good as it looks. I'm a fan of this horse, but I don't know if this race sets up in a particularly positive way for him in the same way that one he was in here 2 back. I also think there's significantly more competition with Jackson Traveler in here, even in Mr. Phil, who's improved. So I'm a little skeptical of him today. I like Our Last Buck in this race. I love the turn back for this horse. You know, I think if he runs as Alex M. Robb, he's not a 1 1/8 horse, he could win this race. He's got a plethora of races. Look at the last time he ran, 7 furlongs at Saratoga. He was behind Aloha West. How would that race go for him? This is a horse, and when you look at his record sprinting, it doesn't look good. Except the problem with that kind of logic is that all of his races at 6 furlongs were in the beginning of his career,
Right.
when he was running the exact same kind of figures going long as he was going short. I think he wants less distance. And I think he's the one who's going to get the right trip in here. And I also think he's going to be a square price in this race because they're going to bet the 2 over him, the 3 over him, the 6 over him, and they might even bet Mr. Phil over him.
They'll probably bet Mr. Phil over him off the win, yeah.
I think it'll be close between those 2. I like the cutback for this horse, and I think he's a sneaky horse in this race that could get it done. I think his races are better than they look. So I'm going to take a shot with him.
He'll be a square price, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think he's had. I don't even think he ran that badly last time, making a big middle move in that race beyond Winner's Edge. At least he tried to win the race, and that's one of the reasons that he fell back in the late stages. I think he's very dangerous, and I think the 6 furlong race will compact his move, and he can just make one run. So I'm taking Our Last Buck. But this is a competitive race. I think 5 of the 6 look pretty good. The other one is a pretty big long shot. So race number 8 at 6 furlongs on the turf. Why do you like Kobe's Legacy?
Yeah, it's 2 races in the 2, I was about to say state bred. The 2 maiden special weight races, kind of close together, just 3 weeks apart when turf season was ending. He's obviously a turf horse and he's not a dirt horse. I think he's dropping to win.
You don't think he's dropping to lose?
I don't think it's one of these, throw your hands up in the air. I mean, he's not a special weight horse. And you run him for the 40. I like the fact that Chris Englehart's not
for 40.
wasting time, right? He's just running him for the 40. He's not trying him in the special weight race.
Yeah.
He's just running him. He's running him fresh. The recent numbers, the short numbers at the bottom of the racing form. This is almost a 30% move. This kind of layoff for the Engelhard barn.
Yeah, but they're dirt races. He does not have great.
No, right. He's not a turf trainer, obviously. He's only run 46 horses in the last 15 months on the turf, just under 10%. So, but I thought that the 2 special races, and the truth of the matter is, man, when you go through this race, there's not too many interesting things going on, and there's just not a lot of positive form to go off of, Andy.
Yeah, I think Kobe's Legacy will benefit from a rider change to Jose Lezcano. That was the first time he ran. He actually broke on top, and as is too often the instinct with his rider that day is to take horses back. And I think in doing so, 2 things happened. He was out of position in a race that was won on the front end in a slow pace, and he was wide the whole way around the track. Now he draws towards the inside. Now he doesn't project to be the speed in here. But I think he'll be more forward with Jose Lezcano. I don't think you're going to see Jose taking his speed away the same way the other rider did. I don't even think he ran that badly in the Carby's Dream race, another race that was 1 wire to wire. And I think if you look at him, he's going to be more forward. And as you said, you go through, it's very hard to have strong opinions on horses in this race based on the race they've run. In my opinion, the horse to beat is the 8 Everesting. I considered putting him on top. David has Kobe's Legacy 8-1. He's not going to be 8-1. He's probably going to be about 4-1, 7-2. I think Everesting will probably be a better price. Obviously, it's a rider that doesn't have great win percentage, to say the least. But the reality of Everesting is he's just run against better horses, and he's a better turf horse. And last time out, He jumped up at the start. He broke about a half length slow, ended up 3 to 4 wide around the racetrack in a race that was not only dominating the front end, but it was dominated by horses that were closer to the inside. So he has a massive excuse last time. And Everesting, I know he's had a lot of chances, but the reality is he's got plenty of turf race to win this race.
You know, we were talking about this the other day. The 5-2 on Kentucky Night, that was really for Empire Ridge. This is
Correct.
what's tricky about
Correct.
that morning
Good
line,
point.
right?
Yep.
I'm sure if it was the other way around, Colby's Legacy would have been 6-1 or 5-1 on the
Excellent
morning line.
points, excellent points, yeah.
So keep
No.
that in mind when
Yeah,
you
Kentucky
when you're
Night
looking
would
at
have
the
been
line.
15 to
Yeah,
1 or
right.
something, or 12 to 1. That's
Exactly.
Thank you for that. David actually just texted me this whole same thing.
Yeah.
But that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point.
I guess, I'm sorry.
I still want to bet David a lunch that Everesting is a bigger price than Kobe's Legacy. And I think that you probably agree with me.
I would probably agree with that. Mr. Jay McKay, second start for Tom Morley. They ran the horse in a special weight race off the claim, and now we're going to drop back down for a tag.
His last race was atrocious.
I know it was.
It was atrocious. He had no speed. He was down on the inside. He got a good trip. He didn't do any running at all. Maybe he'll run better for Tom up here, but he was awful down there.
I'll tell you what, he found the right bunch to see if he can run better. Because he might not have to run that much better to get a big piece of this.
Oh, no, I don't disagree. Immortalization is a horse you want to at least look at a little bit. The problem is there's not really any turf pedigree. It's much, much more dirt pedigree. The horse who has a little bit of turf pedigree, oddly, is Fazaro.
Yep.
The second dam won over $500,000 on the turf. The dam actually did win the turf. But one day, and I don't like Fazaro in here, I'm not betting a horse that was claimed off Wayne Potts, but one day someone will explain to me why I keep running across brood mares that have turfy tendencies and they bred them defrosted. Who thought that was the match you wanted? What?
How many, you realize, this is out of town. Do you see how many frosteds are they running
There are a
on the
lot
turf?
of. There's a couple living in my building. I mean, there are frosteds everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere you go, you see them around Manhattan. There's
I have
a
a
lot.
frosted hat at home.
There's a lot of frosteds.
Faster frosted.
A lot of frosteds around. Get them while you can. But yeah, I agree. I'm 3s and 8s in the last race. I will live and die with the two of them, and we'll see how that works out.
Are you a frosted donut fan?
I'm generally a donut fan.
Okay.
I don't like jelly donuts.
See,
I prefer cream
you'd
donuts.
be very surprised. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I don't like anything on my donut. I just like the donut. My great aunt used to make the most unbelievable regular donuts.
There you have it. And with that, head over to Naira Bets, where you can get some frosted donuts if you're lucky.
can.
Nobody brought them into the office today. Very generous people in the office. Occasionally we have donuts. I go to them like bees to honey. Free $25 bet along with a $200 sign-up bonus. Derby 25. I'm very excited to have that new picture of our friend Mo Donegal. I was surprised that Mo Donegal got as much support in my poll yesterday. I'm putting up polls every day, somewhat Derby weekend related. I don't know if you saw my poll. The poll was, if these 4 horses make it to the Travers,
Yep.
and they're the top 4 choices, who do you prefer? Taiba won over Mo Donegal with Zandon and Epicenter pulling up the rear. I was surprised. I was surprised that Mo Donegal got as much support as he did. Not saying I think they're wrong.
I probably would have
necessarily.
flip-flopped Zandon and Mo Donegal, right?
What about Epicenter? Why he would, if he gets the Travers as one of the top 4 choices? What's wrong with him? He may well. He's the favorite to win the Derby.
I'm not saying anything. You think he'll be favored?
Well, who's going to be favored if he's not favored?
I think Zandon will be the favorite. I think there's a chance Taiba could be the favorite. I think there's a real chance Taiba could be the favorite.
Taiba.
Taiba?
Taiba will not be favored. No chance Taiba's favored here.
You know, people lift up at those California horses.
Nick Tamaro says that Frosted's pedigree is heavily geared towards turf on the dam side. Guess what? To quote Patrick Beverly, didn't work. That's a great video. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a very funny video. All right, we're done. What else? We got more slates, right? There we go. Thanks. They came
Why
back.
did we come back on air?
I don't know. We're idiots. $50 each in Aqua Turf Paradise or more. $15 bonus. Opt in over at Naira Bets. The contest, 5 o'clock tomorrow. You have approximately 28 plus hours to sign up. We going slow on these slates now? Quick change.
Dawdling.
Test the Champion, the Belmont Stakes. And last but not least, America's Day at the Races, 1 to 5:30. Have a great day here on the first day of the last week at Aqueduct until the fall.
Johnny I.
Johnny I, updated recap of the scratches and changes. Have a great day.